Jewish history is full of national tragedy and great personal difficulty. To say they had their share of hard times would be a vast understatement. Outside of a few brief periods of peace and prosperity, Israel's past has been marked by famine, war, suffering, civil unrest, oppression, and captivity. For first century Jews, life hadn't got much easier. Roman occupation made everyday life just plain difficult. Rome's daily presence served as a bitter reminder that their days of national sovereignty were gone. Even the small amount of autonomy Israel was able to keep was corrupted by the greed and pride of their own religious leadership. Scorpions on the outside, snakes within. But right alongside all this pain and suffering, we also see a rich history of hope, giving them strength to live on even in the worst of times. So the center of this hope lied in an unwavering belief that God was for them, that He would send rescue, and their present age of suffering would end. This belief, their hope, it was specific and ordered. It had a familiar verbiage. So the end of their suffering would begin with the days of the Messiah, or the days of the Son of Man. This Messiah, once He was sent by God, would bring a coming age of unprecedented prosperity and peace for Israel, which would be known as the kingdom to come, or the kingdom of God. All their hope for a future glory, for an era of national holiness, forgiveness, and peace like the world had never seen, was summed up in the phrase, the kingdom of God, or the coming kingdom. There would be no more enemies, no more oppressors, no more war. Israel would reign under Messiah's rule in absolute peace, strength, and glory as they had never before. Without question, they believed that the coming of the kingdom of God would be visible, tangible, just as tangible as their current suffering and captivity. They also believed that all would recognize the Messiah. Now to our text in Luke 17. By the last months of His ministry, it was widely claimed, by Jesus Himself no less, that He was this Messiah. He was the one ushering in this golden age. But how? Look at Him. He didn't look like a king, like Moses, David, or Solomon. So the Pharisees, seeming to mock this very un-Messiah-like Messiah, they ask a question that only the Messiah could answer. If you are the coming one, then tell us when the kingdom of God will come. We can imagine their recoil at Jesus' description of how and when these sacred events would take place. Jesus answers, "The kingdom of God is not coming in ways that can be observed, nor will they say, 'Look, here it is,' or 'there.' For behold, the kingdom of God is in the midst of you." What? Not coming in ways that the eyes can observe? How in the world can that be possible? Now that was a fair response, given what the Pharisees had hoped and believed for centuries. So there's 1,000 things we could focus on in the verses of our text. Like those in the text, we could debate the specifics of how, where, and when Jesus will come again to put an end to evil and bring in a new heaven and a new earth, ruling in perfect peace and power. Believe me, there are enough differing views to keep us busy for a lifetime. But here's my point. Doesn't all this sound familiar? It should. Was the hope that the Jews held on to in their day, the hope that allowed them to endure incredibly difficult circumstances, was it that different from the hope we have in God as Christians, believers in Jesus and children of God? Maybe not so much, but with one monumental difference. After Jesus flipped their hope upside down by saying the kingdom's coming won't be observed with tangible physical events that are seen, He gives the key to an even bigger hope. Behold. Listen closely, the word means. Pay attention. The kingdom of God is in the midst of you. It's here now, among you now. No more waiting. If you trust in my work, Jesus said, believe in the one God sent, I'll give a rescue to the thing mankind fears most, death, evil, sin, and separation from God. It's here, He was saying. I'm here, and all your hope is coming to pass. But pay attention. God's redemption, His rescue, and His victory of evil it's not first manifested physically in ways that you can see visibly, just as the source of all suffering and pain isn't something you can necessarily see either. The scriptures say, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the darkness of this world and age, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Our hope is far greater than the relief of physical circumstances, greater than a comfortable life here and now. It's an internal deliverance of selfishness that brings pain, a rescue from hearts that would seek their own way, a way that is limited, a rescue from having to have all the answers, having to have it all under control, or the pressure of being our own saviors and gods. More than that, we have a hope that doesn't have to wait for the future, wondering if and when our rescue will come. Our hope is fulfilled in a work that has already been done, a work that is finished, that we can access and rest in now. Our deliverance from sin, death, and eternal separation from everything good that is God. And deliverance from sin, death, and eternal separation, it's not just also a rescue for one people at one time from one difficult circumstance, it's for all at any time, rescuing humanity from its real and most dangerous enemy, evil, from sin's penalty and power, delivering us here, now, and forever. So remember, though at times it may seem as suffering and pain and hardships surround us, God has sent rescue. He has defeated death, the grave, and we have this hope within us that can get us through even the most difficult of times. For the kingdom of God has come and is working among us now and has the final say and victory for eternity.